Welcome to the Squared Circle Gridiron Podcast. I am Don Wayne with Ricky and Ron, and we got a lot to get into today. The NFL trade deadline was last night. Halloween struck, and guess who went trick-or-treating? The Las Vegas Raiders owner decided to give you guy a last-minute treat before it all came shuffling down. No trades for the Raiders, no signings for the Raiders. Lo and behold, this morning we wake up and what happened? We got a new head coach and no GM. We still got the same shitty haircut, but at least something's changing out in Las Vegas. Rod, you got to be happy right now.
Oh, hallelujah. So I got to say, like I said, man, I got up at 2 o'clock this morning, California time, let the dog out and went to check on the waivers and saw something about McDonald's being fired, and a light came down. Angels started singing. It was a glorious morning. Glorious.
I don't want to get too far into the podcast before we discuss it, but this was a big deal because Raiders Nation has been screaming from any building they can find, any mountain they can find, that it was time to move on from McDaniels. I said it a few years ago when you signed him. It was one of the greatest days in Denver Broncos history. Here we are 2.5 years later, and it's a sad day for me. I feel like you guys could have at least given him another decade to see what he could really do with that team. But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, kiss my ass.
Ricky, what did you think of it, buddy?
I'm surprised it took this long. You know, I can't put my finger on it with them. You think moving to a new state, would change their way, just change things for them. But it just seems like no matter what they do, there's always trouble with them. There's always something wrong. They just can't get on the right track.
Well, I thought they were on the right track. I'm very disappointed as a Broncos fan, as I say. In all seriousness, I have been through this guy's bullshit system. I watched this guy pillage my team, trade off great players such as Brandon Marshall. It drove me insane. It only took us, I think, 1.5 years before the owner said, this guy sucks. Get him the hell out of here. I'm sure, like the snake he is, he will go slithering back to Bill Belichick. I'm sure he'll take him back. The other news out of this is that you guys got a new interim head coach. Ron, what did you think?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I love the choice of Antonio Pierce. For one thing, they could have gone with Patrick Graham, but then he had to be the head coach and try calling defensive plays. That would have been hard, I think. So taking a positions coach who is beloved by who's beloved by all the
Now go ahead, just adjust on the seat.
Yeah, just is beloved by all the players. I think it's genius. Just it's the same way that happened when Gruden had resigned and Rich Bassini, or however you say his last name, took over. The team went to him and wanted him and supported him. So I think you're going to see a turnaround. And then the next best thing it did was freaking, say, Jimmy G, sit your old ass down, your fragile ass down. Let's see what this young kid can do.
Yeah, I heard that's coming. That's next. They're going to give the kid a shot. I think it's from my perspective, it's the right thing to do. I mean, you sink or swim with this kid. He can either play or he can't. Ricky, I know you got something.
Well, I'll be honest. I was actually very surprised that Devontae Adams is still a Raider.
I was not.
No.
That guy's still a weapon. You're not going to get equal trade value back for what you put into him. You've got to ride this out and see if this young kid can connect with him. Go from there. Thanks, everybody, for joining out there. Appreciate you guys' time. There were some big trades I want to get into before we start talking football. There were some winners and losers. When I look at San Francisco, the rich got richer, man. The rich just got richer. I mean, ridiculous. How many pass rushers are they going to get? And just how many?
It's insane. It's insane what they did. Now, the interesting thing will be, okay, did they waste a third-round draft choice just for the rest of the season? And what happens if they don't get the Super Bowl? Because Chase Young's a free agent after this season, so he can walk.
He can. And I thought it was a gamble for him, but I do understand why they did it. It adds more depth. It's another guy. It's another problem. You can't double-team Bosa all the time anymore.
No.
The one I didn't understand was Sweat. I didn't understand why the Commanders traded Sweat. That guy's a damn good ball player. and you only get a second-round pick back from him. I thought they could have at least gotten a fourth and maybe, a seventh next year. I just felt like a second-round pick was a little bit light for me in that trade department. It felt like the Commanders were just unloading as much talent as they can with the new regime, admitting we are going to completely rebuild this thing from the ground up. So that's how I took that.
You know what? I'll tell you something about the Commanders. I mean, yeah, they're 3-5, but they don't have. I mean, they got some pieces there. It's not like they're a terrible team.
I thought the same thing. That front four was nasty. Just trade one of them. You don't need to trade them both.
Yeah,
and I'm not just you. Ron, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ricky. Good.
And you know what? I'm not just using the gauge last week in the first half against Philly, but like I said, I don't know what the deal is out there in Washington. Are they giving up on the year? I mean, they're 3-5.
They sold the house, man. I mean, I think if anything, this is the kiss for Ron Rivera. This is saying, yeah, Ron, this is it. Good luck to you down the road, but you're going after this. Sweat again. I felt like they could have gotten more than just a second. And I know a fourth round isn't a lot, but it would have just sweetened the pot and maybe made it a little bit easier for the Commanders fans to take in. That guy's a ball player, man. He's never injured. He's always on the field. He's always getting pressure. He's always double teamed. I like Sweat. He's going to a place now in Chicago where most young players go to die. I wish him the best of luck because I don't think it's going to get any better.
I think one of the reasons why they unloaded Young and Sweat was they said on their end that they were underachieving. I don't see that as a fan watching football and watching some of their games. I don't see how they can say they're underachieving. As a defense, they're underachieving, but those two are always in the backfield.
Sweat especially. I get Chase because he was somewhat injury prone the last several years. Sweat was always there and was always making plays. Just my opinion. Those were some of the bigger trades. I know a couple other trades happened. The Bills got a cornerback from Green Bay. That was a big one. Yep. And I don't know, was there any other big trades that you guys saw that I might have missed?
I think a sneaky good trade was Dobbs to Minnesota.
I don't get that one. I'm not going to lie. I don't get it at all. I need somebody to help me with this. You know what Dobbs is. You've got a rookie. And by the way, your backup is supposed to come back in week 10. Why did you make that trade if you're Minnesota? You just look. No matter what you do, if you're Minnesota, none of these guys are going to be Kirk Cousins. And I know he gets shit on a lot by my people. He's a good quarterback. Neither one of these guys, I don't know what the rookie can do, but he ain't going to be Kirk Cousins.
Well, from what I saw in the preseason, he wasn't very good. He got a little scared in the backfield, happy feet sometimes. That was the preseason, playing with second string players. But we'll see this this week how he looks. I think the Dobbs thing, I think that's an insurance policy.
I mean, what are they insuring against? I mean, getting a better draft pick?
What's that?
Are they getting the insurance to get the better draft pick in case the rookie works out?
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I see. Look, I'm not dissing Dobbs, but the truth is that I saw it. Patrick Pucci had a guy on Twitter talk about it. When he is open in the pocket and there's no pressure, his accuracy is like 43% or something stupid low. It's like a crazy low number. So I didn't get it. I didn't like it. I still don't like it. I'm not going to like it tomorrow when I wake up either. The NCAA rankings came out before we get into college football. And look, I wouldn't have really had heartburn if you'd have had Michigan at number 1 because they have just absolutely mollywopped everybody they played. But I got some heartburn with Ohio State being a top 2 team. I wouldn't argue a top 3 team, but number 1 overall, when the undefeated defending 2-time national champion is still standing, I got a little bit of an issue with that. It felt like they were doing this to get clicks. It didn't feel like this was an honest vote, in my opinion. Ricky, I know you're looking at it. What do you got?
Well, I'm kind of torn because as I thought about it, Ohio State, number 1. They have wins over 2 top 25 teams. Georgia, 0 victories over top 25 teams, and their strength of schedule is number 100 in the country.
Oh, I know it's trash.
Yeah, Michigan. Their strength of schedule is 111th in the country. And like you said, though, they have kind of pounded everybody. But still, that's a high strength of schedule. And Florida State, who's number 4, they only have one victory over top 25 teams, and that's against LSU. It seems like the common theme in this is no one's really beat anybody up yet. Now, Penn State and Ohio State and Michigan are all going to play each other. Washington's hanging around at number 5. They have 3 tough games coming up. So I guess things are going to shake out quite differently in the next couple of weeks.
But Ron, doesn't this feel like they did this to get attention on college football? Like we know they're going to play each other later, right? Like we know that. It doesn't feel like they're actually trying to get a real rating out there right now.
No, and I don't understand how come the 2 teams from the Pac-12, Oregon and Washington, are sitting on the outside. I think Washington should at least be sitting on the inside. They beat Oregon. They beat other top 25 teams.
I can't argue anything you're saying at all, and that all makes perfect sense to me.
I think both Washington and Oregon match up pretty good with all the top 4 teams too. It's just they're not in the Big Ten or SEC.
I can't argue right now. The Pac-12 has looked like one of the stronger conferences on the year.
Well, like I said, Washington's game's coming up against USC, Utah, Oregon State. That's going to put them in or put them out.
It is. I would agree with you there. But again, they should be in already. I can't argue what Ron's saying. They should be in that conversation already.
I
it
agree with
shouldn't
that,
be
yes.
we'll play our way in. It should already be in. They should be in over Florida State at a minimum, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah.
And guys, I'll tell you what, the 2 teams right on the outside looking in who are climbing, Bama and Texas. Bama's climbing. They're just climbing up.
Well, we going to have a showdown this weekend against LSU. One of them teams is gone after this weekend. 100% for sure. Somebody's out. That's just the way it's going to be. Speaking of somebody that might have just played their way out, let's get into it. Oklahoma got bullied. I said it on Twitter. I said it to start the show. Oklahoma got bullied by Kansas to the tune of 225 rushing yards. Yeah. They could not get a stop when they needed to. I think you just saw the Gabriel Heisman talk go away. He did not have a particularly strong game. He did rush for 3 TDs. I get that. He rushed for 64 yards. I get that. But his throwing was not where it needs to be. He threw a pick, no touchdowns, only 171 yards to show for it. Ricky, give me something.
I tell you, I was actually surprised. I was surprised Kansas was able to handle him like that. I thought that kid Gabriel, I thought Oklahoma was going to be a top 6, top 8 team, but their defense was totally flat, and Kansas came to play. So, that takes Oklahoma, I think, out of the picture.
And yes, Manny, I did call Oklahoma frauds last week. Go ahead, Ron. I know you got something on it. We were talking about it last week. They looked fake last week.
Yeah, they looked fake last week. They looked fake this week. That was an entertaining game, though.
It was entertaining. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
And this is as Kansas is second string quarterback. Their first string quarterback got hurt second or third game of the season, so he's out, and that kid just ran over him, man. That was like a 40-yard touchdown run he had. Was it 40 yards that he broke off on the outside?
I honestly can't remember. Yeah. I know I was excited at the end of that game. There were a lot of big plays. I had so many. I was in my favorite watering hole again. I had TVs going everywhere. It was a scene. All I heard was Oklahoma just lost the lead again, turned around, and there it was. I said, oh, my God, you got to be kidding me, man. They're done.
Kansas came to Kansas's young quarterback, I think Kobe Bryant. He looks like a future NFL player, too. I'll say that.
You're going out on a limb there on that one. Yeah. You're talking about okay. I don't know about that yet. I mean, we'll see.
The games I've seen Kansas play, he's shown out.
I think his name is Jason Bean, isn't it?
Jason Bean, yeah. I'll tell you what.
Okay, yeah. The quarterback, I'm talking about the defensive back, Kobe Bryant.
Cornerback. Okay, sorry.
Quarterback.
Defensive back. Yeah. No way that Bean.
Okay, I'm about to say, I don't know about. Okay.
Oh God, he'd get broken in half, dude.
Well, it's not all lollipops and rainbows for you this weekend, no, Ron, because USC survived against Cal. That was, I mean, dude, we've been saying it for over a month and a half now, I think. Where in the hell is their defense, Ron? It's pathetic at this point in time. Every quarterback they play has a record day. Every running back they play against has a record day. Eventually, Lincoln Riley's got to be held accountable for this shoddy-ass defense he's trotting on the field when he has a generational quarterback slinging the rock in his backfield. This is unacceptable, and I'm not even a USC fan. I like to watch Caleb Williams rip it. This is pathetic.
He has not once came out and said anything about the defense corner. He's not holding the defense corner accountable. That's crap. He needs to hold him accountable for what he's putting out there, because that's, like I said, that's not USC football. That's not my USC football that I grew up watching.
But that's on the. You know what though? Week after week after week. If it's 1 week, that's fine. You can hold the defensive coordinator accountable. This is week after week after week. You got to hold the head coach accountable.
True.
He's the one recruiting them, and he's the one getting them paid. I mean, it is what it is now in today's college football. There is no reason you cannot do a total rebuild on a defense in 2 seasons. No. You can get those transfer portal kids, and either he's getting them and they're not good, or he's not getting them because he's not recruiting them. And I'm not sure which one it is right now, but either way, it's garbage. It's hot garbage on the field.
You see that Caleb Williams has fallen out of the top spot now?
According to who? According to who? Mel Kiper and his big-ass hairdo?
No, I forgot. There's a couple different ones I saw that he's fallen out. Mel Kiper.
Well, yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this, right? Let's say that Williams is the number 1 pick, right? Let's say that he ends up being the number 1 draft pick. What team, Ron, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Hypothetical. He's the number 1 pick next year for the NFL. What team in the NFL can we say right now, hypothetically, that's going to pick Williams? Who do you think it's going to be?
The Raiders absolutely would if he's sitting there and they got the number 1 pick. Denver would if they had the number 1 pick.
Okay. If the Raiders, which I don't want them to do, but if for some reason Mark Davis decides I want Lincoln Riley, he hires Lincoln Riley as a coach, I can see them moving up. And moving up if they have to get Caleb Williams. I don't think Lincoln Riley is ready to be an NFL coach. He'll fall flat on his face.
I honestly, Ricky, I don't think the lack of teams wanting this kid is not going to be the issue. The issue is going to be if he wants to come out because of the amount of money apparently his NIL deal is for next year. I read somewhere, Nick, I don't remember if this was right or not, but it was like $11 million of an NIL deal out in USC. It was something astronomical right there. So if he doesn't like the situation he's looking at, he can stay out, man. He doesn't have to come back in. Like, he can stay out and come back in the next year and get a situation he likes. By the way, is this a redshirt sophomore, I want to say?
I think so, yeah. So he's eligible for what, 2 or 3
That's what I was going to say.
Years?
He's
one more year left.
Okay,
so from, not to keep talking about it, but from what I've seen so far, I don't think he's ready for the NFL. So why not stay in college and hone your skills? And like you said, Don, if he has the NIL deals and he's making 10, 12, $15 million a year, stay in college until you get into a situation where, one of these crappy teams aren't picking you number 1, and then you're wasting there for the next 5 years.
Well, I think he's going to come out no matter what. I think it's a lot of bluster. I think he's going to come out, but we'll see here soon. He's got some big games coming up. I mean, he's got, who's it? Is it Oregon or Washington this weekend? I want to say it's Washington, right? We said that?
What? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We got 2 big games this weekend. I can't wait to watch. Speaking of Washington, Ricky, I'm going to turn this over to you because they survived again. They didn't make it look pretty. They just survived going into the 4th quarter. They were up 28-26. They were barely hanging on. They did just enough to eke it out. I don't know. Honestly, don't know what to make of Washington right now. I really don't. Like, it was, if you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, I'd have said they're probably the strongest Pac-12 team out there. I got concerns now that maybe it's Oregon, to be completely honest about the whole situation. Their defense is not impressing me right now. They're giving up a lot of points and a lot of yards.
I'll say 2 things. Every week I look at Michael Penix's box score, and it's pretty much the same thing, right? Over 300 yards, 3-4 touchdowns. His wide receivers, he has pretty much 5-6 guys. I'll say this about Washington. I'm not quite sure what they are either. Can they beat one of the top 4 teams in a playoff? I'm not sure. But with games like this where they're close and they end up winning, I like to call that battle testing. So this may be helping them at come a bowl game or come a playoff time.
Ron, did you see him play at all?
I watched half the game, then I started falling asleep. So I went to bed. I took some pain medication early.
So is it just me, or is their defense just really leaky, man?
Yeah, their defense.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. Well, let me ask you this then, and I'm not just saying this about Washington. Give me a defense that you love right now.
A defense that I love right now
in college.
Michigan. Michigan. I love Michigan's defense. I think they got a first-round pick in defensive tackle on that line that can both get pressure and shut you down by himself in the run. Okay. I like Michigan's defense. I like Georgia's defense to a point.
I do too.
They've been coming on lately. It took them a while, but they're coming on.
I like.
I'm starting to like Florida State's defense. They're starting to come alive. I don't like Oklahoma's at all. They were a leaking sieve the last 2 weeks. That's probably about.
I think Texas has a solid defense.
Penn State, I thought, had a defense until last week, and then the last, just Lord have mercy. Well, we talked about it a little bit. I was going to cover this real quick. The Vols survived as well. Those were the 3 teams that really survived. The Vols had to hang on for dear life. I've already said it. I like Milton as a young man. I'm just not big on him leading the Vols going anywhere. I don't see it happening. I don't see him going anywhere. Where am I wrong in this? Where am I missing on this guy that the head coach loves him so much that he's not willing to give the freshman a shot? I don't get it, man. Am I missing something here? He doesn't ever wow me with his game film, ever.
Don, I feel the same way. So, yeah, I feel the exact same way.
He's just blah.
It really is. Did you guys happen to catch the Duke game at all? Because, these poor kids.
No, but I was going to ask you. I was going to bring that up.
It's just bad. They're still trotting Leonard out there. I don't know why Leonard is being trotted out there. He's clearly not healthy. This isn't good for him. It's not going to help him long term. I know they're trying to hang on to the ranking. To me, the coach is making a lot of bad decisions with the young man right now. He is a good football player playing at a basketball school that had you in a position to be contenders, and you're ruining this kid's season. He should not be on the field, in my opinion. They need to get him off. It's terrible what they're doing to this young man. You can watch him and see he is not the same. They got shut out. Shut out. Somebody tell me I'm wrong, because I just feel so bad for the kid now, man. I really do.
No, I don't know if they just want to keep him trying out because, like you said, the rankings, or to boost his, notability or something. But yeah, they need to take a step back with the kid. They're hurting him more than they're helping him.
Yeah, I mean that's it. I don't think we can say anything else about it. That's what it is. Georgia came in and beat the hell out of Florida. Just whooped their ass. They didn't have their tight end. But you know who they had back? Their deep threat, McConkey. And people forgot about this kid because he was hurt for over half the season and was slowly getting work back. That kid is greased lightning when he gets going on a football field. You better have a safety deep, and he better be able to run a 4.240 because that kid can. That kid is fast as it gets. Beck came on again, 300 yards. The defense was all over the field. They made plays that really put Florida. They went forward a few times on 4th down, didn't they? I want to say it was multiple times and didn't get it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I was impressed with Georgia. Ricky, did you see the game at all? I know you're high on them right now.
I did. I didn't. I saw most of the second half, and Georgia just dominated them. Georgia. It's becoming a recurrent theme, and I say this every week, but Georgia is undefeated, and I know the rankings have 1 and 2. It really doesn't matter right now, but to me, Georgia is still the best team in college football.
I would agree. Ron, you got anything to add on that one, buddy? Because I got one for you next.
Yeah, I watched watched the first half, and then it got just carried away. I was like, nope, I'll watch something else. Georgia's the most complete team.
Yeah.
Hands down, the most complete team.
Yep.
I agree 100%. They really are. Then we get to your Oregon Ducks, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say this: if you play the Oregon Ducks right now in Washington on a neutral field, I think Oregon wins, and I think Oregon would probably win going away. They can do something that nobody talks about all year. It's always about Bo Nix. Oregon can run the football, and they can play defense. They can play really good defense. You asked me about defense that impressed you. Oregon's this weekend impressed me because they said we're not going to take it lightly on Utah. We know the quarterback situation is not good, and we're going to blitz and get pressure all day and put you in bad positions throughout the game. It was impressive. They really put it to them. I want to say, what was the total? They only had the 2 sacks, but it was the hits I saw. Every time that kid, it seemed like he was getting up from the ground. He had nowhere to throw the football. 15 to 29, 2 interceptions. I mean, Oregon, quack, right? Let's get it back. Oregon's coming on right when they should.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ron. I know you got something for me on this one. That's your team out west, baby. That's your Pac-12, dog.
I know. Utah they got their asses spanked, man. I mean, you're talking about defense that impressed you earlier. I was trying to tell you Oregon. The more I see Oregon play, the more I get impressed with their defense. I think they're maybe underappreciated a little bit, but they ran the shit out of the ball, and they played a good. They're another team that's complete. I love to see Georgia and Oregon play against each other. That'd be a great game.
I think it'd be a hell of a fest. I think that'd be a hell of a game myself. Ricky, what are you looking at over there intently, man? Something's got your burrow froed. What's going on there?
No. You know what? I was looking at the game stats for the Oregon-Utah, and I was wondering how they beat them, 35-6, and they really beat them on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. The interceptions, the sacks and clutch times, put them in bad field position the whole game. They had nothing for them. So, it is what it is. There we go. There, moving around again. Musical chairs. I like where we're going with this.
Here we go.
I got one more game I want to cover in college before we look forward to next week. All right. This is a shout out to you, Ron. This is your bread and butter. You said you can see them getting to 6-7 wins. What do you think of Colorado now? What do you think about them 6 or 7 wins now? Because it's looking shaky as shit.
How many sacks did the Samoan kid get? Number 15.
I have no idea. I do know that the Colorado players got robbed.
I felt bad for. I felt bad for sure.
Ron, y'all out there robbing kids in the locker room? Is that what's going on? Straight just robbing kids?
Yeah.
Ricky, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
But
for everybody who didn't, some of the Colorado players were complaining. Colorado players were complaining their jewelry was thefted while the game was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't wear a bunch of jewelry to a football game where you're going to be hitting people because there might be some shady people within the building that don't care who you are.
Did you watch the game?
I was in bed when this thing happened. I really was. I was.
The safety Schroeder, or whatever his name is, got called for targeting. It was just a bullshit call.
I did see that. It was bullshit. It was.
Yeah.
He had I was just going to say Sanders had 13 carries for negative 20 yards.
Yeah. And how many sacks did he get? Did they get against the Buffaloes?
I think it's like 5 or 6.
Oh, keep going.
Maybe was it 10?
7 sacks. They had 7 sacks. Colorado has Oregon State next week. Who are we taking there?
Oregon State.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They got Arizona at home. I'm taking Arizona.
Arizona's a tough out, man.
Yeah.
They play Washington State after that. That could be a toss-up.
Yeah.
And then Utah to close the year out, and that might be the win that they get into a bowl game with. Yeah. Depending on the Utah quarterback, if he can make it back, I think they're going to end up, medical redshirting that kid to try to get one more year out of him out there.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Just
You
personally.
need what, 6 wins to get in the bowl game?
You
Get one
need
of the
6 wins, and one of
bowl-
them, yep, 6 wins, and one of them can be a AA opponent. So
Okay.
we got some big boy football next weekend, though. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. I'm going to be watching Missouri and Georgia. Georgia struggled with Missouri last year in Missouri. Missouri's got a much better team. I know a lot of people are saying the spread is like 15.5. I just don't think Georgia's going to cover that, to be honest. There's something about that matchup. Georgia has always struggled against them. I'll be tuning into that. LSU and Bama.
That's what
I will be watching that night game and flipping over back and forth between Washington and USC. Those are the two I got to watch this weekend. I'm going to watch those at night. Cannot wait to watch. There's a lot going on between Bama and LSU right now. That is a big rivalry, big SEC rivalry. Are you guys going to be watching the same games? You got something else on your mind?
No, I'm watching that game too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not absolutely.
Washington might hang 60 on the freaking Trojans, man. Jeez.
They, man, look, you say that jest or joking. I think they really might. Like it,
No,
it might
I'm
happen.
dead serious, bro. I'm dead serious, man.
That could be over ugly early. I mean, it really could if they can't get them in the pocket.
Yeah.
On to the
like
NFL. Oh, go ahead.
I know. I was just going to add. I'd like to see. It'll be interesting. California put up 49 last week against USC. I'd like to see what they do this week against Oregon.
Yeah.
Got a good point there. Good point there. On to the NFL. There's some games I don't think we need to go too in depth on. I mean, Buffalo played Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Was anybody surprised at this outcome?
No.
No, I actually picked Tampa Bay. Or Buffalo. I'm sorry, Buffalo.
I mean, Tampa Bay made it interesting because they do have a really good defense. I'll give them credit. They're scrappy. But this was no surprise, I think, to anybody. Bill Belichick and his Patriots went down south to Miami, where they have struggled every year since he's been on the team, right? That weather really gets to that team. It has since he's been there. There's nothing you can convince me otherwise. Every time they go down there, that team struggles. It really does. And Jalen Waddle finally had a breakout game, 121 yards. He looked good again. Looked like he's finally getting healthy. I think he was a little bit dinged up.
Yeah.
Siegel says that the Bills stink, so I'm thinking he's not a fan. So, what did you guys think of Miami and New England? It wasn't anything special to me. It wasn't one of those games I was tuned into.
It was just a game. It was just a game.
It was. I mean, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that was kind of the result I thought was going to happen. New England doesn't have the horses to cover the Patriots. I don't think there's many teams in the NFL that actually have the horses to cover or to cover the Dolphins. I just think from Hill, Waddle, I mean, they're just a really tough team to match up with.
Siegel's talking about the Bengals. I can't wait to get the Bengals here in a minute because we're going to talk about that. Then we had what had to be arguably the death fest that was the New York Giants and Jets. Oh. My God in heaven. Look, I like the Giants coach. He shit the bed with everything he did in this game. He didn't do anything right the last 2 minutes of this game. Nothing. No. He did nothing right. He gave it away. His defense was atrocious. And now they've traded away their best defensive player, in my opinion. Gone. This game cost them their big middle hammer. If you're the Giants, you should have traded more than that. I mean, honestly, you should have traded Barkley to somebody. You should just go ahead and own the fact that you don't have a quarterback on that team. Your offensive line is beat to hell. It's time to get this thing moving in the right direction and move on from the Daniel Jones front. It's time to go ahead and start stacking those draft picks up and start looking at another quarterback. What do you think, Ricky? I know you're there. That's your conference.
I'll tell you what. I'm glad that they're in the East. I was expecting a little bit more from the Giants this year. I don't know what the friggin' deal was with them. I never liked Daniel Jones. I mean, the kid has some heart, but I don't love him as a quarterback. I didn't watch this game. I watched a little bit of the first quarter and I turned it off. It was complete garbage by two bad teams. So I can't really speak on the whole game, but just two bad teams.
It was. It was what it was. Yeah, with the Giants and just like any other NFL team, Giants, Redskins, any of these teams that have issues with their front line, the offense line, they're going to suck ass. Just that's the way it is. I mean, look what happened to the Rams last year.
Yeah.
They couldn't do shit because of bad.
And look what's happened to them.
They can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll give Zach Wilson some credit because he got it done in the last 2 minutes of the game. So
I agree. I mean, credit's where it's due. But again, that defense was so bad. It was it was a joke at that point in time. I had nothing to say about that team other than you gave that away. Jacksonville played Pittsburgh in an ugly, wet, terrible looking, god awful, just defensive slug it out game. You know, it wasn't pretty. Jacksonville, I think we know what Jacksonville is now, right? They will sit there and punch you in the face if that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence quietly had 290 yards passing. Nothing huge, nothing great. They won a game. They won a road game in a city that's hard to win in. I like Jacksonville a lot more than a lot of people. A lot of people are big on them. Yeah, I'm really high on them right now. I'm high on everything about that team.
Travis Etienne, however you say his last name, is
Travis Etienne.
Etienne, he's getting hot right now too. So they're starting to click. Everything is starting to click with them. And I think their defense is underappreciated too.
Yeah, it doesn't help that my wife is a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. She thinks he's handsome. I don't get it. I don't see it, but whatever. She's like, I'm like, your boyfriend's on. She's like, I know, I'm watching. Whatever, man. On to the surprise game of the weekend when a kid named Will Levis trotted out on the field carrying his nuts in a wheelbarrow and then promptly dropped them on the field and shit all over the Atlanta Falcons. That kid, there's no game tape to watch on this. There's nothing like that. He was just uncorking bombs all over the field. Go deep. Hopkins said, I'm going to outrun you. Nah, dog. Keep going. Go to the end zone with this one. I can't wait to watch this Will Levis kid play. I liked him in college. He was beat up so bad his last year off of terrible offensive line play. His running back was Rodriguez back then. I can't remember where he plays now. He missed like half of the first 3 or 4 games of the season because of a stupid suspension. Tell me, Ron, I'll go to you. Did you see this at all? Because, man, here we go. I think we might have something.
I was like, this kid throws a pretty ball, man. And no hesitation, no nothing. He threw a pretty ball, and he looked good. He looked legit. And I thought coming out of college, one of his down, like, what they thought bad about was accuracy and stuff. Hey, he looked good to me. And Tannehill, he ain't getting his job back.
No, I was just going to say that. Tannehill's not getting back on the field. Nope.
No, and that's what they needed too. They haven't had a quarterback who can do that.
Exactly.
When was the last time Tennessee had a quarterback who can do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Manny going back to the Giants. Danny Dimes threw for 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. I didn't think it was elite. That was a whole lot of lot of Giants fans.
That was a whole lot of New York hyping him up.
Yeah. A lot of that. The game that I just want to touch on real quick, Bryce Young finally got his first NFL win. The Panthers overcame the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud struggled a little bit in this game. I thought that the Panthers defense had been really underperforming all season, and they had. Their secondary finally came alive. They made some good plays. He didn't throw an interception, but he didn't throw anything great either. So tip of your cap, man. Good for that team. They really deserve that win. They've been really scrapping all year. You know, if you guys got anything else, let me know. Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, they got that kid Bingo a little bit more involved in the game than they've had prior games. So I think with the switch to Thomas Brown calling the play calls for him, I think that's going to make a difference for him.
It ain't going to hurt. I know that much. It's not going to hurt him. And then, Rod, like I said, it's not all rainbows and lollipops for you, buddy.
Nope.
Your Rams came out there and got uncorked on. Just Peter North is the best way I can say it, describe it. Just Peter North the shit out of them.
I don't understand who's
what. Don't Google it, kids. Don't Google it, kids. Don't Google it, kids.
If there's any kids watching this, don't Google that. Ron, you can Google it.
Do not Google that.
If you're under 18, do not Google that.
Peter North.
It was bad. And to top it all off, Matthew Stafford got beat up.
Yeah, he
got beat up on a trick play, and freaking Rams content creators freaking going crazy over the shit. They're a bunch of whiny ass little bitches. It cracks me up how they complain about anything and everything. They just need to sit down and shut up. It's a game. Hey, I didn't expect to get their asses whipped that bad. But you take away the pick six, which was a horrible pass, and that was on Stafford. They could tell I forgot what receiver was talking on one of the shows about that was Stafford's fault, not Cup's fault. Stafford's been hurt, but
again, he's been hurt again. I mean, let's just say what it is. He's at the end of his career, and I think he's starting to get injury prone.
Oh, big time. And then McVay made it sound like he got hurt making that catch, but I think he got hurt prior was thumb hit that helmet of the defender.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. They showed the replay enough to where it looked like his finger came right on his helmet. We've seen it 100 times. You can split your finger.
They're on the outside looking at it. NFC is a weak division. If they could pull off some wins, if they need to get a win against Green Bay this weekend, if they can pull off some wins, they might be, might be there. All along, I said they're 9-8, 10-17. So it is what it is. I can't. It's funny because I don't get mad. I don't get mad at them because I watch games with no expectations because that's how I went the season.
Low expectations
Makes it easier. But
I'm not going to dwell on it too hard. I know that was tough. Green Bay, that's tough, man. Green Bay is a bad, bad football team right now. And you never hear about Green Bay trading pieces of the team mid-season. Like, that's a rare thing that you hear about. When I saw Green Bay traded a defensive back, all I could think was they're giving up on the season. This kid Love is done. This team is done. I don't see it myself. What do you guys see that I'm missing here as far as is Love has all the tools, right? Am I missing something? Because now Minnesota, I think they need to be selling as well. You cannot convince me that they've got a Kirk Cousins on that bench, right? You cannot convince me. Hunter wants out. They could have probably gotten a second and a fifth for that guy. I don't understand it. Help me explain Minnesota and Green Bay. Just bad football.
Go, Ricky.
You talk about Love having all the tools. I don't agree with that or not agree with it. I don't know. I don't know what this kid is. I just don't know. He's been so inconsistent all year. So I'm not quite sure about him. And look at the Vikings. I mean, they're 4-4. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. They lost arguably their two top offensive guys in Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Can they find magic in a bottle and salvage their season going forward? I don't know.
All right, so here we go. Over under 4 wins the rest of the season for the Vikings. Ron, I'll go with you on that one.
Over under 4 wins. I'll go over.
You think so? Okay. So you think they're a playoff team?
So you're saying 8. So you're saying 8 wins total, right?
No, he's saying 5 at least.
No, you. I'm saying you.
Yeah.
I'm saying over under 4 wins. Like that's where I would put this at.
And I don't know their schedule, but I'm going to say I don't see them ending up with more than 8 wins. So I'm going to say I'm going to say the under.
Okay, so I'm going to go under 2. I don't think they're getting more than 3 wins personally. I just don't see it.
I don't see how they're getting those wins, but
I do. Their defense is good. Their defense is playing good. Defense keeps in the game, and whoever's playing quarterback plays within the game, and just manages it. They'll be fine. I think with Green Bay, and I think there's some kind of disconnect between Love and LaFleur, that they're not connecting. And plus, without a running game, they can't do shit. AJ Brown ain't doing shit. Aaron Jones been in and out and not running. He hasn't played. So if you can't have a good running game, then you need a good running game and a good pass game because it opens everything up. So
here's Minnesota's remaining schedule. They're at Atlanta. They're at Atlanta, host New Orleans, at Denver, host Chicago, at Las Vegas, host Cincinnati, host Detroit, host Green Bay, and then at Detroit. That looks about like 3 wins at best to me.
I kind of agree with that. After I looked at that schedule, I mean, to me, 4 wins at the most, but I see about 3. I see them beat Chicago. I see them beating the Raiders, and throw another win in there somewhere.
I'm sticking with 5.
All right.
Okay.
We'll go see it at the end of the year. I'm going to look forward to this one.
That's bold.
Ricky, on to your Philadelphia Fly, Eagles Fly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fall off your Flyers.
And my God, did the Washington Commanders let it fly all over you guys. What in the hell is wrong with that secondary, man? I mean, you guys are like the USC of the NFL. Everybody who plays you has a career day throwing the football.
So I was very, very impressed with the Washington play calling in the first half. They called the plays right over to the middle. They found the soft spots in the zone, and they kept exploiting the Eagles' weakness. And I'm like, wow, Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy. I'm like, man, you guys are on point. Awesome job. And then all of a sudden, in the fucking second half, now listen, I'm glad Washington lost, but they could have just kept exploiting it, because that's the weakness of that Eagles team, is right there in the secondary. If you find those soft landing spots, oh my gosh! I mean, Sam Howell, I thought it was Joe Montana back there. I really did. I thought Washington, like I said, Washington did a really good job exploiting the Eagles' weakness, but they did a bad job capitalizing on later in the game. And Sam Howell had that terrible INT, and then the Eagles were just they just got too much on offense. They didn't play their best game. They could have had 50 points if they didn't have those 2 turnovers. So
I got no words, man, to be honest. Hey, moment of silence real quick. Legendary coach, I just got update on the news. Bobby Knight has passed away.
Oh, wow.
Man.
So God bless you, Bobby.
Yeah, wow.
All-time great coach, all-time bad secondary going on right now in the Eagles land. That was fugly.
Yeah.
When does Darius Slay and the other quarterback get back off IR? Are they out for the season?
No, Darius played last week.
Did he play?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, he was out there. I wouldn't say he's playing.
Hey, you know what? Listen, I'm not gonna go into a rabbit hole with this, but I will say one thing, and I'm just gonna. So he's been with the Eagles now, what, 3 years, 2 or 3 years, right? And especially like around here locally, people talk him up, big play Slay, big play Slay. Yeah, he's big play Slay the other way. He gives up a lot of big plays. And then listen, I like the guy. He's whatever. That fucking guy gives up. He gives up so many big plays, and no one talks about it.
No one does. They always just talk about his big plays. And that's why Detroit shipped him out of there, because they were tired of the two-way play that he has.
Yeah.
That's why they let him go.
I'm telling you, I watched the guy week in and week out, and he makes some nice plays, yeah, but he's I don't love the guy.
Is there any quarterback wide receiver connection that's better right now than AJ Brown and Hurts?
No, there's not.
None.
Right now, AJ
goodness.
Brown is on a different level of football than everybody else is playing right now.
The only 2 I could compare who's close is like 1A and 1A is Tua and Tyreek Hill over in Miami.
But that's the only one. But even they haven't done what he's done right now. He just set a record.
He's unstoppable. He's unstoppable right now. Right now, he's unstoppable.
I was impressed. On to the Cleveland-Seattle game, where nothing impressed me about this game. If you watched it, you'll understand why. It was horrible, man. Geno Smith was throwing bad picks. PJ Walker was throwing bad picks, and then he couldn't hit anybody. The Browns ran the damn ball 40 times. They were determined to try to make this a game. Jerome Ford was out there and shouldn't have been. He had a high ankle sprain last year. I can't believe they trotted this kid out there. The Browns should be shamed for that. Terrible, man. What an ugly game. I didn't like anything about it. Do you guys want to cover this in depth, or can we move on? Because that thing was just Jesus, man.
I say we move on. I just want to ask one quick question. Do we see Deshaun Watson again in a Browns uniform?
Yeah, he's supposed to be
Oh
playing.
yeah, he's playing this weekend. He'll be back.
Okay.
Now, well,
He's trash anyway. His whole Cleveland.
I mean, I'll say this much: he'll be on the field. I can't say how long he'll be out there. If he can find a way to fake an injury, I think that might got leave right away. And that's the worst thing you can be thought of is if you're faking injuries, man.
Yeah.
I gotta say this. My heart goes out to two fan bases because I know how hard it is to root your balls off for a team. The Cleveland Browns and the Oakland Las Vegas Raiders. Those fan bases are so insufferable.
And you want to talk about playing your balls off? Let's move on to the Arizona game. They played as hard as they could. They just don't have the horses right now. But I will say this much: that head coach has them playing hard. I mean, we were praising him last week, right? We were praising the hell out of Lamar Jackson. Looked great. And then he did. Why? Why did we get this guy again? What is the deal with Lamar, man? Where is the consistency to his game? It just doesn't exist. 18 of 27 for $157. I watch this guy every week, and then he'll have a week where he drops 300 yards and looks like he can't miss. And then you have this abortion of a football game. He just looked completely, I don't know, like he didn't want to be there.
Does he? What if he's one of the players, somebody that needs to be up for the game? Like we see something like Arizona. Yeah, it's just Arizona. And he'll just,
dude, if you're making $50 million a year,
play down to their level instead of playing at his level.
If you're playing $50 million a year, you better be up for every damn game I put you in.
100%.
Look, Ricky, did you see this?
Yeah, I did. I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson.
So am I, man.
But I said it over the summer before Baltimore signed him, and I said it was going to be a mistake. He has so many miles on his tires. That guy's beat up. Look, he's still a very nice quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but I thought they made a mistake making that commitment to him for as long as they did and for how much they paid him. He's just very, very inconsistent. So it's tough week in and week out.
But now they're saying he's in MVP talk. I don't get that. I've never been
MVP talk. MVP talk for what? What?
And Manny, our boy Manny, who is a Baltimore Ravens fan, he says it is what he is. And he is who he is. That's his play. One week you'll think he's the greatest thing ever. The next week he's frustrating as shit. And this was that week. Maybe next week we see he's great again. I don't know, man. He's just not consistent enough.
I'll tell you this: his numbers don't look as good because Edwards had 3 rushing touchdowns, so he might have taken a touchdown or 2 from Lamar. But
all right. I'm gonna move on to the next game that I can't wait to talk. Let me shake it off. Let me shake off them Chiefs and them 8 years of losing to this damn franchise. Go Broncos! Fan to the end. Mahomes got sacked. He got picked. Kelsey couldn't get free. Russell Wilson still looks like shit, but we ran the ball 40 times. And Javonte Williams was a horse out there for the first half. Big game for Denver. They came up when they had to. They didn't turn it over. Hallelujah. And we got to the quarterback. This was the game I've been waiting on all year. I am not about to say my Broncos are going to be worth a shit, but it's nice to finally beat your damn rival after losing to them for so long.
Yep.
Baring Browning for Denver was on the IR for the first 5 or 6 games of the year. This was his second game back, I think. He had 2 sacks. He was all over the field. I was glad to see him come back. However, it's not all roses and buttercups. Russell Wilson, again, threw another 114 yards. Dude, and took 6 sacks in the process. A complete zombie. I don't care what happens from here on out. They can win 10 games. You have got to move on from Russell Wilson next season. He's not cooked. Good. He's absolutely cooked. Let Russ cook. His ass is cooked, all right. He's done. He's done, and he cannot do it anymore. He threw a ball down the middle of the field where Judy was running wide open on a slant down the middle. And it was so far behind him, Judy had to stop and go up and snatch it out of the air. I'm done with this guy. I'm glad they won. That game was frustrating as a fan from start to finish. It just was.
Let me ask you something, Don. Now, when because Denver's defense has been coming on the last couple weeks, you see them slowly, surely getting better and better, and they look good. Denver's defense look good.
Okay.
Now,
you really want me to comment on that?
No, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Now, when they went to the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning Manning's last year, he had trouble throwing the ball too, and they relied on the running game. So if they just rely on the running game and Russell Wilson throws 150 yards and maybe a touchdown or two, and they're winning, isn't that good? Isn't that good enough?
Peyton Manning had to win some games late in that year. Like he had to. You had to. I know he sucks.
What's up, Scott?
But he was bad. He was real bad at the end. This defense is not what that defense was. Like I'm not that guy that's going to be like run around with a homer hat. You had 2 Hall of Fame corners. You had 2 Hall of Fame pass rushers. You had some really good young athletic linebackers at the time.
Yeah.
You don't see defenses with 4 Hall of Famers on them very often. That was one of them. That team was the no-fly zone for a reason, because that get off the ball between Vaughn and DeMarcus Ware, and even back then Derek Wolfe, was enough to beat you into the ground. This team is good, but I'm going to tell you who they played the last 3 games, okay? They played Kansas City, whose offense, let's face it, is struggling mightily right now. They played Green Bay, who we just covered is struggling like nobody's business, and they played Kansas City again. When they come back, they play Buffalo. I am not expecting much. It's a Monday night game. I'll probably be in bed at halftime. I'm a fan. I'm not an idiot. If they win, then they'll win me over, and I'll believe that the defense is legit. If they win.
Okay.
That's the only way I'm going to buy it. On to the bludgeoning that is continuing for the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, we need you to start watching game tape, buddy. Because that last pass at the end of the game was just right to a linebacker. Yeah, but he threw it right down the middle. T. Higgins made a little bit of an appearance. It wasn't much, but he at least showed up because he hadn't been seen all year. He at least had 59 yards. And the one thing that I noticed about this game, they really stuck with the run. Joe Burrow decided to scramble up the middle when the pocket broke down versus taking the sack. I think that has to do a lot with him being healthy now. We all know that ankle was flared up. I don't really have much else to say. I still have faith in San Francisco, but they're clearly struggling right now. There's clearly Brock Purdy has been figured out, and they've got to get him back on track.
I got something. So my son is a huge 49ers fan, and they came over for dinner and watched the evening game Sunday, and we were talking, and he told me that 49ers are under investigation. We're possibly pushing Purdy out of the protocol too fast. If you see the one sack when he got up, he clinched.
Oh, the concussion protocol, you mean?
Yeah, concussion protocol. Wow. He got sacked at one time. His head hit the ground, and he grabbed his helmet and the grimace his face. He should have been taken out of the game right there. So they're now. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it very well could be that, because right after that hit, that's when he started just downward spiral.
Wow,
I didn't even see that
news. That is some breaking news. Wow,
just like the whole Tua situation. They played Buffalo when he came back too soon and he got his bell rung.
Yeah.
Almost same kind of situation.
And then it looked like he was in a coma when his head bounced off the turf. Scared the shit out of me. I was like, that guy's dead. Oh my God, he's dead.
So I'm not saying that very well could be a reason why.
Right. Ricky, what'd you think of the game? It looked like I said, just domination.
Well, I still think San Francisco's good, but the cog in the wheel right now is Purdy's quarterback play.
Yeah, it hasn't been consistent enough, and he's made some bad plays when it mattered most.
And San Francisco's defense gave up 31 points.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there's a reason they made a trade to get some more pass rushers. They've only got one right now that's consistently getting pressure. I like what they did with the trade. I think we're going to see them turn around eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know how in depth you guys want to go on this next one. I mean, I went to bed at halftime. This shit was over. The Bears were getting stomped. I didn't
even watch it.
You missed absolutely nothing. They were winning 24-0 what was it? Yeah, 24-7 at halftime, and I said, "There's no hope in this game. There's none." So
Eckler ran for like 30 yards, but had 110 yards of receptions and 2 touchdowns or some stupid thing like that.
yeah, they forgot to figure out that guy can actually catch the football. Matter of fact, that's what he does better than running the football.
Oh yeah.
They couldn't figure that out. 7 for 94. Just come on, guys. Figure it out. He's going to get the screens. And then we'll get through this real quick before we go on to next week's show. Detroit beat Las Vegas, but Las Vegas Raiders fans, I don't think, care right now because their dream has been answered and they've got no McDouche in the house. So that about sum it up.
Bye, bye, bye. Baby,
Ron,
bye, bye.
Ron, the floor is yours. Go ahead. It's all yours, buddy.
I thought when I saw Mark Davis at the game, I'm thinking, oh shit. He might not, if they lose, he might not make it home. Kind of like when Al Davis fired Lane Kiffin in the airport terminal way back when. Raiders defense is all right. They're playing decently. But man, I think with the change of coaching and right before I came on or was eating lunch, I watched NFL Live and Antonio Pierce was on with the intern GM. And somebody asked a question about Garoppolo, and he point blank said, "Nope, Aiden O'Connell is my guy. That's who we're riding with." And with the fact that Devontae Adams and other receivers have talked about him since preseason, how much they like the ball come off his hands, and he can push the ball downfield. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
Well, I'll say this much as a Broncos fan. I think it's a terrible decision. Like I said earlier, you should have held on to this guy. I think you're making a huge mistake moving on from McDouche. You know, I wish nothing but ill will to all Raiders fans for this. That guy was working out great.
Maybe Broncos will hire him as a OC.
If that guy steps foot in Denver, I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody on his ass real quick. I don't think he'd be able to walk to the airport without getting somebody up in his face. All right, that covered that week, guys. I'm going to move on to next week because there's one game I can't wait to see it. I'm going to have to get my ass up early to watch it. Miami at Kansas City in Germany. That's got my full attention next week. What about you guys? Rod, what do you got next week? What are you watching and keeping your eye on?
I'm watching the Cowboys freaking kick the Eagles' ass. That's what I'm watching.
Oh, my. Oh, shots fired.
That's what I'm watching.
Oh. That's just low.
Listen, the Cowboys defense has been playing very well. There's no doubt about it.
In spurts. It plays well in spurts.
In spurts. I think they're going up against a different animal with the Eagles. And I think the Eagles take care of them. I think the Eagles take care of business Sunday. I think they win 33-21, 33-20, something like that.
Well, before we take off, I want to say this much. We do actually have a good Sunday night football game this week.
Bengals and Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Bengals and Buffalo. We're going to have something good. I'm looking forward to it, guys. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. I want to thank everybody who watched the show tonight. Thank you all. Do you guys have anything else?
No.
Thank you guys again. Tune in, subscribe, give us a thumbs up.
Next week, right here at the Cowboys, I got the Cowboys flag right here.
Ron, Don, thank you guys. Awesome show.
Appreciate it.
Have a nice evening.